sat outside my house right now having a little cup of tea, and I wanted to share with you guys what I'm doing when things don't feel perfect. So I woke up this morning feeling really anxious, and I think I've just been overworking a little bit too much. And although I've really worked on these patterns that I don't need to be go go go, every so often things can rear their head, and I just wanted to show you what I'm doing to try and combat that where it is messy and it's not perfect. So I'm literally sat in my pajamas in my dressing gown. I've come out to my front doorstep, and you know, people could walk past and see my pajamas. Who cares? Let go of caring about that. And it's because as soon as I wake up, I love to have my cup of tea and I'm journaling and I'm releasing everything that feels heavy and anxious in my heart right now to make space for the day ahead. And because I had that really long pattern of thinking I needed to be doing something all the time, it can make it sometimes feel hard to relax, and I'm just having that time to consciously remember that I don't actually need to be doing everything today. My internal battery is really low, and I know that to keep myself on an even keel, nice and stable, feeling really good, I need to focus on just pouring into me a little bit. So I know I look a mess. I'm embracing it. I got my cup of tea. I picked this mug today. This is actually 10 points to anyone who knows who this is on the mug. Love that for me. And I'm just embracing it. And the reason I've come to the front doorstep is because connecting to just the fresh air just reminds me that I'm alive, and it just calms and soothes me. And it's not like you could always do that, for me anyway, in the winter or the rain or the cold. So since I can do it, I'm gonna do it. Attitude of gratitude. And that's how we're starting the day this morning, so we can have a better day as the day goes on. Where I experienced a lot of childhood trauma, I found it can be quite difficult to emotionally regulate. I never had that support. How I felt wasn't really acknowledged in any way. I didn't really have that relationship with my mum where she would be asking how I felt, or she didn't really know me on much of a deep level. So how I felt was sort of put under the surface quite a lot, and that meant that it felt just difficult to emotionally regulate. So these are just little things that I've done to learn as an adult, or this is what makes me feel better. And I think it's important to prioritise and take that time for yourself. So I'm gonna enjoy that now. Now, I'm not sure if you can tell, but the sun has come out, so what a blessing, what a thing to be grateful for. So I have got tea number 2 on the go right now, and I'm gonna go and take it with me into the shower. Now I'm gonna make my shower a whole experience for myself, because I feel like it's an opportunity for me to make myself feel even better and just pour into myself and my own cup, because as we've established, it's feeling pretty empty and pretty low today. So these are just little things that you can build in your routine that don't really take any extra effort. So I'm gonna take my cup of tea with me, have it on the side so I can just sip away, nice slow shower. I am gonna light a candle because I just feel like it signals to my body a time to just relax, not needing to rush. I'm really trying to soak into that feeling of moving slower today. I've actually got this crystal selenite bar, I think it's upstairs. Just personally for me, I love using it like a wand over your body, just to cleanse away any stagnant lingering energy, because I feel like that's just been building up from days of work. And then what I'm going to do is do some affirmations while I'm in the shower, and imagine the water as it runs over my body, clearing away any gunk, as I wash, energetically, I mean, not just physically, just letting that energy go. I think because I think I've said before, I just feel really energy sensitive, so I'm just trying to wipe the slate clean, have a slower, intentional shower, do some affirmations, and I'm already feeling a lot better than when I woke up. And I think it just goes to show how such little things can make such a big difference to your day. Like, all I've done so far is sat outside my front door in a little bit of breeze, sunshine, a cup of tea, journaling, and I'm like, yes, this is time for me. So now we're going to carry that on, continue to move slowly and just do what feels good. So let's go. Whilst I do my little skincare routine this morning, I thought I'd share with you the reason why this feels so important to me and why I feel like it's important that people do pour into themselves. So I thought maybe I'd give you a little bit of a context for me personally. Like, I love making bath times, shower times into like a little routine that feels a little bit more fulfilling, a little bit more special to me. I don't know if you class having a candle as special, but you know, like the little things that you do that just make it feel nicer. So I think this all for me delves back into my childhood. Now, I did experience quite a lot of childhood trauma. I think sometimes when we've been through such awful things, speaking from experience here, it can feel like you will just never get over it, or it will control the way that you view yourself forever. I've managed to do quite a lot of inner healing work and transformation, but I feel so proud of how far I've come that I never thought would have been possible. So that's why I want to sort of share this with you guys. But specifically with the bath stuff, when I was a little girl, I had quite a lot of times where I would be sat waiting in the bath for my mum. Like, my mum would be like, right, you go and get in the bath and I'll be up in a little bit and help you get ready. And I mean, when I'm like, I don't know, 6, 5, like, she'd be like, right, you go and get in the bath. And the house that I grew up in had a lot of like drugs and alcohol, and it had a lot of strangers in it, so people I didn't know. And at the time, she, for her own reasons, was sort of preoccupied with everyone in the house, and I would be left in the bath for like really long periods of time, and she didn't come up and like help me. I would be sat in there for so long that the water would just be going cold, and I'd be thinking like, oh, I don't know if I should go and ask her for help, like, is she coming? I don't know. Now, when you're little, it's easy to think that it's because of you, or it's your fault, or that, you know, at that time, I then created this narrative that basically said, in my mind, I wasn't good enough and I was not worthy. There must have been something wrong with me, and I basically took that in as my like the way that I viewed the world. Like, everyone was just simply better than me because I was worthless. Like, when I was a child, I'd then get out of the bath and eventually I'd like creep down the stairs. I'd put my head over the banister and be like, Mum, like, are you coming? And I'd be like calling her name, and she couldn't really hear me because she was preoccupied with everybody else and like these other people just, you know, drinking drugs. And when she saw me, she was absolutely livid, and she was like, I'll be up, like, I told you, I'll come. And at the time, again, that just sort of fed that narrative that I was not enough. Now, I feel like you can remind yourself that you can pour into yourself regardless. So now what I like to do is make that experience as nice as I can. I have healed from all of them experiences that made me feel awful, and you know that that was just one example. There is an accumulation of them, and that then led to me developing PTSD or CPTSD. There's been a lot that I've had to overcome with that, but now I enjoy making the experience nice for myself, like, and just a reminder that, you know, whatever you didn't have, or you feel like there was a missing part of you, although it feels difficult, you can give it to yourself. You can always give it to yourself. So that like nourishing love feeling that I felt like I needed, like that motherly thing, I can give it to myself now, like just making it a little bit special. That's why I love making a bath, like just a special cozy part of the routine. Sometimes
the voice and the inner narrative that we hold that we develop during childhood, like, carries on throughout our life. And sometimes that can be really subconscious, like you might not even be consciously aware that that's a thing, or you can feel like that's going to be your life forever, and there's no hope, there's nothing that you can do, and that's it, and it's just rubbish. But that is not always the case, and that is not to belittle anything that anyone has ever been through, because I know that this world can give you some dark times. But what I'm saying is that it is possible to heal that. You can actually create a new voice for yourself, like a new narrative of, you know, how do I want to view myself? How do I want to believe in myself? And I also know that these things can take quite a lot of time. And I'm not saying it's not like an overnight win. It's usually incremental, it's back and it's forth, but ultimately it can move forward. Just for example, my previous voice in my head was saying, you're worthless, you're not enough, you're insignificant. And now I'm choosing to feel that I am worthy and I am good enough. And, you know, when you care about yourself, that's all that matters. I went from having absolutely zero self-worth in the entire world, to properly self-loathing, to, you know, building this connection and relationship with yourself and building this trust with yourself by showing up for yourself every day. It is possible. I also think that when we grow up in a way where we make ourselves as small as possible, we can then really struggle to know how we actually feel. We like shrink that down, and it's hard to know what you need, what you want, what feels right for you. Like, what is your inner self saying? Like, what does it need for that day? Like, we all have needs, they all need to be met, and when we abandon them for so long, it just creates this bigger disconnect with ourselves. Now, I think, like, building daily practices, or, you know, say daily, as much as you can, because there are certain days where I can't do everything like this. If you're working 12-hour shifts, there's like, I have to shrink that down into different ways. But when we build inner practices that allow us to show up for ourselves, we start to rebuild that connection with ourselves. Or I say rebuild, it may have never been there for you because it was never there for me. It's like starting from scratch. But my point is, even if it's come from nothing, you come from nothing where you don't have that connection, you absolutely can build that. I also know that it can be quite difficult if you've never had that relationship or connection with yourself to then suddenly start trying to implement new things. It can feel quite daunting. But I feel like one thing that you could do is close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths, put your hand on your heart if you feel called to. What do I need right now? What is one thing I can do for myself today that, like, somewhere in me I feel like I need and maybe I've been ignoring? Like, what are you being called to? You can start incrementally, just checking in with yourself. And then you're also showing yourself bit by bit that you are important to be listened to. That even if you've been abandoned in the past, you are not abandoning yourself anymore. Like, just because other people may have treated you a certain way, we're not doing that anymore, and we are showing up for ourselves. And also, really quickly, before I go out, I forgot to tell you that I did write an article on Substack for free. You can read it if you want to, that just goes into a little bit more about a couple of experiences that I had been through and how I managed to find, like, the light at the end of the tunnel. Darkness can always be transformed into light. If you do want to read it at all, I'll leave the link in the bio.